Introducing the Current Affairs Workbook. It is an activity-driven learning comprising summaries, quick facts, MCQs, true-false statements, mains practice questions, and ethics case studies, consolidated into a comprehensive workbook. Dive into our monthly magazine summary, a concise overview capturing key insights, events, and trends of the month. Unlock the power of our Quick Facts block, your rapid reference toolkit with essential facts, figures, and critical statistics. Experience our dynamic activities like MCQs and true-false statements to subjective questions and ethics case studies that refine your analytical thinking and articulation skills. Track your progress with our dedicated self-evaluation page, your personal growth monitoring and improvement tool.
Hello and welcome to this edition of News Today. Without delay, let's have a look at the headlines first. Prime Minister pitched for the Uniform Civil Code. Sri Lankan President reaches Delhi on maiden foreign tour after taking office. India's growing focus on strengthening mineral diplomacy. Credit Guarantee Scheme for e-NWR-based pledge financing (CGS) NPF launched. Waste to Worth managing India's urban water crisis through wastewater reuse report released. Combating technology-facilitated gender-based violence in digital age. Now, first news for the day, the Prime Minister has pitched for the implementation of the Uniform Civil Code or UCC, emphasizing the vision of the Constituent Assembly. Highlighting the need for a secular civil code, the Prime Minister stressed replacing the existing diverse personal laws based on religion to ensure equality and uniformity across the nation. So what exactly is the Uniform Civil Code or UCC? The UCC refers to a set of laws that govern personal matters such as marriage, divorce, and inheritance for all citizens, irrespective of their religion. Notably, Article 44 of the Directive Principles of State Policy provides that the state shall endeavour to secure a uniform civil code throughout the territory of India. Interestingly, Uttarakhand recently became the first state to implement the UCC in 2024. Meanwhile, Goa has similar provisions under the Portuguese Civil Code of 1867. Now, let's understand why the UCC is considered necessary. Firstly, it aims to foster unity and integrity by renouncing practices that conflict with fundamental rights. Secondly, it seeks to reform India's social system, eliminating injustices and practices that discriminate against women. Finally, it promotes uniformity in laws, similar to criminal laws that apply equally to all citizens, regardless of their religion. However, implementing the UCC does not come without its challenges. One major concern is that it could conflict with the protective provisions of the Constitution, especially under the 5th and 6th schedules, which safeguard the customary practices of scheduled and tribal areas. Additionally, doctrinal differences pose a challenge. Objections to UCC may emerge on the belief that it compromises the traditions and religious freedom of communities. The debate around UCC is not new. The Supreme Court in landmark cases such as Shah Bano Begum 1985 and Sarla Mudgal 1995 has called for the implementation of the UCC to address the complexities of personal laws. At the same time, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was of the view that the UCC must carefully reconcile with the sentiments of various communities. Some prominent voices have also favored the UCC. For instance, K.M. Munshi argued that the UCC is vital for upholding the secular credentials of the Constitution, while Aladi Krishnaswamy Iyer believed that it would foster amity among communities. With the Prime Minister's renewed push, the debate on the Uniform Civil Code has gained fresh momentum. Will it pave the way for equality and unity, or will challenges slow its progress? Only time will tell. Moving on, Sri Lankan President has arrived in Delhi on his maiden foreign tour after taking office, marking a significant step in strengthening bilateral ties between India and Sri Lanka. Let's take a look at the key highlights of this high-level meeting. First up, debt restructuring. Sri Lanka acknowledged India's crucial assistance in its debt restructuring process, especially through emergency financing worth $4 billion. India has also played a leading role as a co-chair of the Official Creditors Committee or OCC. For context, the OCC was formed in 2023, comprising 17 countries, co-chaired by India, Japan, and France to address Sri Lanka's debt treatment request. The committee includes both Paris Club creditors and other official bilateral creditors. Moving on to trade and investment cooperation. Both nations appreciated the India-Sri Lanka Free Trade Agreement or ISFTA signed back in 1998. Merchandise trade between the two countries reached $5.5 billion in financial year 2023-24, with India maintaining a trade surplus. Importantly, both sides agreed on shifting from debt-driven models to investment-led partnerships, a more sustainable approach for economic growth. Next, let's talk about strategic and defense cooperation. Both nations reaffirmed their commitment to counter both traditional and non-traditional threats, ensuring a free, open, and secure maritime environment. Sri Lanka, as India's closest maritime neighbor, has pledged to prevent any territorial actions that could threaten India's security or regional stability. Additionally, Sri Lanka acknowledged India's role in establishing the Maritime Rescue and Coordination Centre or MRCC, enhancing maritime domain awareness. On the regional and multilateral cooperation front, India continues to support the Colombo Security Conclave, backing Sri Lanka's initiatives for regional security. Meanwhile, the two leaders also addressed the long-standing fisheries issue. The dispute over fishing rights around Kachatevu Island in the Park Bay has been a persistent source of tension. Both sides agreed to address the matter in a humanitarian manner, factoring in the livelihood concerns of the fishing communities. India also highlighted its ongoing initiatives in Sri Lanka, including the development of the Point Pedro fishing harbour, rehabilitation of the Karainagar boatyard, and cooperation in aquaculture through Indian assistance. This visit marks a new chapter in India-Sri Lanka relations, focusing on economic recovery, regional security, and stronger partnerships.
Now let's focus on India's growing efforts to strengthen its mineral diplomacy, a strategic move to secure critical minerals and safeguard its technological growth. India's reliance on imported critical minerals has emerged as a significant concern. Recently, the Union Defense Minister highlighted China's strategic weaponization of these resources, a warning that cannot be overlooked. Let's put this into perspective. China controls 60% of rare earths production, 60% of critical minerals production, and 80% of the processing worldwide. So, what is India doing to address this challenge? India has launched proactive efforts in mineral diplomacy. But what exactly is mineral diplomacy? Simply put, it refers to a country's efforts to secure critical minerals for economic and national security, aiming to reduce supply disruptions and dependence on geopolitical competitors. Now, let's talk about the key pillars of India's mineral diplomacy. First, establishing joint ventures has become a priority to ensure access to strategic minerals. We have KABILs or Khanij Bidesh India Limited international partnerships. Through KABIL, India has secured agreements with mineral-rich countries like Australia and Argentina. It has also acquired strategic critical minerals assets in Bolivia and Chile, further strengthening its global outreach. Adding to this is India's Central Asia collaboration. For instance, India and Kazakhstan have formed a joint venture to produce titanium slag. Furthermore, India has proposed the creation of an India Central Asia Rare Earths Forum, which will tap into the region's vast critical mineral resources. Now, let's move to cooperative engagements. India is actively forging partnerships through unilateral and multilateral initiatives to enhance mineral security. These include the Quad, Australia, Japan, India, and the United States, and the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework for Prosperity or IPEF, the Mineral Security Partnership MSP, and the G7. These collaborations focus on building resilience in the critical mineral supply chain. However, there are key challenges that India must overcome. First, lack of private sector participation. Indian companies remain hesitant to invest, and there is a noticeable absence of a critical mineral supply chain strategy. Second, weak diplomatic capacity. There is no dedicated division in the External Affairs Ministry to address mineral diplomacy, leading to limited negotiation power. Third, insufficient sustainable partnerships. India faces vulnerable supply chains and a lack of long-term commitment and clear roadmaps with partner nations. To sum up, India's strategic efforts in mineral diplomacy reflect its determination to address vulnerabilities, reduce dependence, and ensure mineral security amid global competition. However, tackling these challenges will be essential to achieving long-term success. The government has recently launched the Credit Guarantee Scheme for e-NWR-based pledge financing or CGS-NPF to provide much-needed financial support to farmers. This scheme will allow farmers to avail loans against electronic negotiable warehouse receipts or e-NWRs after depositing their commodities in Warehousing Development and Regulatory Authority or WDRA accredited warehouses. So what exactly are e-NWRs? These are the digital versions of traditional warehouse receipts and are governed by the Warehousing Development and Regulation Act of 2007. The e-NWR allows goods deposited in a registered warehouse to be transferred or sold through endorsement. In fact, since 2019, the WDRA has mandated the issuance of these warehouses receipts in electronic form. Now, let's dive into the key features of the newly launched scheme. The Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution is the overseeing body for this initiative. The total corpus for this scheme is Rs 1,000 crore, aimed at post-harvest finance. The loans provided under the scheme are available for agricultural purposes, up to Rs 75 lakhs, and for non-agricultural purposes, up to Rs 200 lakhs. This scheme will benefit various eligible institutions such as scheduled banks and cooperative banks, and eligible borrowers include small and marginal farmers, women, SC/ST PWD farmers, MSMEs, traders, FPOs, and farmer cooperatives. The scheme covers risks such as credit and warehousement risks, with guarantee coverage provided at different rates. 85% for loans up to Rs 3 lakh and 80% for loans between 3 lakh to 75 lakh rupees for small and marginal farmers, women, SC/ST PWD. For other borrowers, the guarantee coverage is 75%. But why is this scheme so significant? It aims to minimize distressed selling by farmers by ensuring the availability and accessibility of finances. Additionally, it instills confidence in bankers by addressing risks arising from both credit and warehousement issues. Now, let's take a closer look at the WDRA itself. It is a statutory body under the Warehousing Development and Regulation Act of 2007, with the key objective of introducing the NWR system, which allows farmers to store their produce in nearby, scientifically managed warehouses. The WDRA plays a crucial role in regulating these warehouses, promoting scientific storage and boosting supply chain efficiency. To conclude, the Credit Guarantee Scheme for e-NWR-based pledge financing is a significant step towards empowering farmers and improving financial accessibility in the agricultural sector.
Moving on, a new report titled Waste to Worth Managing India's Urban Water Crisis Through Wastewater Reuse has been released, jointly by the Centre for Science and Environment or CSE and the National Mission for Clean Ganga or NMCG. The report underscores the critical role of wastewater treatment in achieving water circularity and sustainability. Let's look at the key highlights of the report. India is facing a significant decline in annual per capita freshwater availability, which has now fallen below 1,700 cubic meters. Adding to the crisis, nearly 72% of India's wastewater remains untreated and ends up in rivers, lakes, and other water bodies. The report highlights India's potential for adopting a circular water economy, given the alarming conditions. 20% of groundwater blocks are either in a critical state or overexploited. 55% of households still have open or no drainage systems. However, there are significant challenges to wastewater treatment in India. For instance, the operational capacity of sewage treatment plants or STPs is low, standing at just 26,000 million litres per day, despite an installed capacity of 31,000 million litres. Other issues include the mixing of all types of wastewater, lack of sewage networks, and insufficient prioritization of wastewater management. To address these challenges, the report suggests some key recommendations. First, governance reforms. Policies must be backed by bylaws at the district and city levels, with effective monitoring. For example, in Karnataka, urban local bodies or ULBs have defined responsibilities, including coordination with the Wastewater Reuse Resource Center. Second, equity and justice in water reuse, ensuring access to treated water, particularly for underprivileged residents in unplanned and informal settlements. Third, decentralized STPs at city level. The report highlights Bangalore's innovative approach, where the district has been split into 3 zones based on its natural topography to cater to specific local needs. The report also highlights policy initiatives already in place to promote wastewater treatment and reuse. Swachh Bharat Mission or SBM 2.0 recommends the utilization of used water. Additionally, Atal Mission for Rejuvenation and Urban Transformation or AMRUT 2.0 mandates cities with a population of over 0.01 million to recycle their used water. Moreover, National Framework on Safe Reuse of Treated Wastewater has been launched by the NMCG to ensure safe and effective wastewater reuse. The findings of this report make it clear. Effective wastewater management is not just a necessity, but a solution to India's growing urban water crisis. With reforms, decentralized solutions, and robust policies, India can transform its wastewater into a valuable resource.
Now let's focus on a critical issue in the digital age: combating technology-facilitated gender-based violence or TFGBV. A recent study by the Economist Intelligence Unit reveals a staggering statistic. 38% of adult women have personally encountered technology-facilitated gender-based violence. So, what is TFGBV? It refers to any action carried out using the internet and a mobile technology that harms others based on their sexual or gender identity, or by enforcing harmful gender norms. TFGBV can take many harmful forms, including cyberstalking, online trolling, and the non-consensual sharing of intimate images. It also includes impersonation and fraud through fake profiles, voyeurism, and much more. Now, let's understand some key characteristics of TFGBV. First, it is often perpetrated anonymously and across geographical locations, making it extremely difficult to identify and stop the abusers or hold them accountable. Second, TFGBV is easily perpetrated using low-cost technology and requires minimum skill, time, and effort. Third, perpetrators often act with impunity as abusers escape punishment or accountability in most cases. Lastly, the viral nature of digital content ensures the persistence of abuse, which causes repeated psychological trauma for victims. So, how can we combat TFGBV? Here's the way forward. 1. Implement the recommendations of the Global Digital Compact adopted by India at the UN Summit of the Future to counter technology-enabled sexual and gender-based violence. 2. Expand digital literacy programs, particularly in rural areas, to empower individuals with knowledge and tools to combat this menace. 3. Collaborate with the tech industry to enhance AI-driven content moderation and create a user-friendly reporting mechanism for victims. And finally, develop robust survivor support systems like Tech Sakhi, which offers counseling, legal aid, and rehabilitation for survivors of TFGBV. To further strengthen these efforts, let's take a look at India's strategies to combat TFGBV. Under legal frameworks, India has key regulations like the Information Technology Act 2000 and the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 2024. On the international engagement front, India actively participated in 67th session of the Commission on the Status of Women, emphasizing its commitment to global collaboration. When it comes to reporting and support mechanism, India has implemented initiatives such as the National Cybercrime Reporting Portal and the Information Security Education and Awareness Program to facilitate victim support and awareness. And finally, India prioritizes women-specific interventions, including the Digital Shakti program, which focuses on empowering women digitally. In conclusion, addressing technology-facilitated gender-based violence requires collective efforts across the board, from global initiatives and tech solutions to grassroots education and survivor support. In today's Place in News, we turn our focus to Georgia, with its capital, Tbilisi. Recently, 11 Indians have died in Georgia due to carbon monoxide poisoning. Now, let's look at the political features of the country. Georgia is situated in Eastern European region of the South Caucasus. It shares borders with Russia to the north and northeast, Azerbaijan to the east and southeast, and Armenia and Turkey to the south. Its sea boundary lies with the Black Sea to the west. Geographically, Georgia is known for its stunning mountain ranges, including the Greater Caucasus Range. Its biodiversity is also remarkable, as it lies in the Worldwide Fund for Nature's Priority Black Sea Basin and is part of two biodiversity hotspots identified by Conservation International, the Caucasus and Iran Anatolian. However, Georgia also faces ongoing conflicts in regions such as Abkhazia, South Ossetia, and Azaria, which remain areas of concern.
As we conclude today's main news, let's have a look at some quick updates. In a recent case, the Supreme Court explained the Henderson Doctrine. This doctrine was propounded in the English case of Henderson versus Henderson of 1843. It suggests that all issues arising in the litigation out of the same subject matter must be addressed in a single suit. Recently, the Center for Development of Telematics under the Department of Telecommunications has entered into partnership to develop face recognition using drone. Agreement has been signed under the Telecom Technology Development Fund program of Universal Service Obligation Fund. Recent wildfires from Malibu, California have been attributed to Santa Ana winds and climate change. These winds blow due to the pressure difference between the Great Basin, the area between the Rocky Mountains and Sierra Nevada in the USA and California's coast. Recently, a number of innovative techniques like Miyawaki plantation, in addition to traditional methods of plantation, have been undertaken to increase green cover. Miyawaki plantation was pioneered in the 70s by Japanese botanist Mr. Akira Miyawaki. It involves planting native trees, shrubs, and ground cover plants within every square meter. The government underscored the transformative potential of blending India's ancient wisdom with contemporary scientific innovations at the celebration of 5 years of the Science and Heritage Research Initiative program. It engages experts from diverse fields for data capture and analysis and provides viable technology to address cultural heritage-related issues, etc. Scientists studying North Atlantic orcas found high levels of toxic POPs in their blubber, despite living far from human settlements. POPs are chemical substances that persist in the environment. They are pesticides, industrial chemicals, or unwanted byproducts of industrial processes. Mirror bacteria are synthetic bacteria whose building blocks are enantiomers of their natural counterparts. An enantiomer is defined as one of two chemically identical molecular species that are non-superposable mirror images of each other. Threats posed by mirror bacteria include immune evasion, biosecurity risks, etc. Before we sign off, let's challenge your understanding in today's installment of Test Your Learning. Thank you for joining us. We hope you found this episode of News Today engaging. For the solutions to the quiz and to access the PDF version of News Today, remember to visit the provided links in the description.